Hi, the SI meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, December 6th. Very clear morning here in the Mid-Atlantic region, but cold. Temperatures dropped into the 20s overnight and will stay below normal levels today with highs generally in the low to mid 40s across the I-95 corridors. Some 5 degrees or so below normal for this time of the year. Strong Canadian high pressure sits on top of the region. It'll get a little bit milder by Saturday, but then we'll have to deal with frontal systems from Friday through the weekend and into the early part of next week. It looks like a very cloudy period developing for the Mid-Atlantic region starting on Friday and lasting right through Monday of next week. Ultimately, a strong cold front will sweep off the East Coast by Tuesday morning of next week, and that'll usher in colder weather once again for Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. And that strong cold front is kind of associated with an overall pattern change for much of the country, and we'll talk more about that at the end of this discussion in just a few minutes. Let's take a look at the latest surface map. Here is strong Canadian high pressure sitting over New England, and it's pretty much dominating the weather scene up and down the East Coast with lots of clear skies but cold conditions. This high tends to shift off the coast by tomorrow and Saturday, and that sets the stage for some milder air but also more moist air to move in to the Mid-Atlantic region on the backside of this high by the early part of the weekend. Notice out here in the middle part of the country, a couple different frontal systems. All of this kind of moves into the east and gives us unsettled weather pattern over the weekend. We'll kind of have fronts meandering up and down, left and right all weekend long, and it looks like we'll be chilly on Friday, but then milder on Saturday, and then chilly again on Sunday, and then much milder again on Monday, ahead of the strongest cold front that'll sweep off the East Coast by Tuesday morning. Here's the latest infrared satellite loop from the SSEC Wisconsin website. First of all, a noticeable band of thick clouds associated with the frontal systems out in the middle part of the country. All these clouds will move into the Mid-Atlantic region starting later on tonight and especially tomorrow, and it pretty much stays cloudy Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and even Monday in the Mid-Atlantic region until that strong cold front finally sweeps off the East Coast by early Tuesday. A stiff northwest flow of cold air moving over the warmer Atlantic Ocean waters is setting off this development of low to mid-level clouds, altocumulus type clouds here. Colder air picks up moisture as it's moving over the warmer waters. It takes about 50 or 75 miles or so to reach a dew point that is conducive to the development of the clouds. So you see clear right along the coast, but doesn't take long for that northwest flow to pick up enough moisture to form a bank of low clouds here out over the Atlantic. Meanwhile, far out west, pretty nice weather finally today across much of California. There's still some clouds and showers up in the Pacific Northwest, but for the most part, that onslaught of recent days, the last week or so, out west has diminished tremendously, and they'll have improving weather conditions for the rest of the week. Well, let's look at a couple of short-term computer forecast maps before we take a look at the longer-term prospects. This is for tomorrow morning from the GFS model run of last night, 0Z. And by this time, that high pressure that is now sitting over New England shifts off the East Coast, and on its backside, the winds flow clockwise around highs in this fashion like this. The southwest wind will pump in somewhat milder air and somewhat more moist air by the latter part of tomorrow and into Saturday, and temperatures will jump back up into the 50s on Saturday, but there can be a little bit of light rain or drizzle later on tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, and then again on Saturday, and that threat will continue right into the day on Monday. Let's now jump ahead 24 hours, and here's the model run forecast for Saturday morning, and still lots of moisture here in the Mid-Atlantic region, and again, it'll be mostly cloudy skies on Saturday with a shower or two, not necessarily heavy rain event at all, but milder. Then we get a little bit cooler on Sunday as one of the fronts comes sliding from the north to the south through the Mid-Atlantic region. It'll stay cloudy with a few showers possible, and downright more rain is expected on Monday, periods of rain associated with that strong cold frontal system that'll sweep off the East Coast by Tuesday morning and usher in colder air for Tuesday and Wednesday of next week into the eastern states. Well, I thought I'd take a quick peek here at some prospects of longer-term weather pattern change. And this is from the Penn State EWAL site, and what this shows here, this colorful map here of orange and blue, is the 500 millibar height anomaly chart. In other words, departures from normal up in the way up in the atmosphere, about 18,000 feet up in the atmosphere. In general, where there's blue, it's colder than normal pattern setting up right now. This is actually upper level chart for the current time frame. And notice here, all the way across the northern hemisphere, we have pockets of this colder than normal, confined to, let's say, Alaska and western Canada here in this part of the northern hemisphere. Much colder than normal temperatures right now over in Europe and also in parts of Asia. Now, this strong cold front that we just talked about earlier that sweeps through the eastern states by late Monday or early Tuesday is really setting up a pattern change. Much colder air will pour into the central plains next week, later this week and into the early part of next week, and that could be accompanied by some accumulating snow from the southern Rockies across the central plains towards the Great Lakes. And this particular model run, this is the GFS Ensemble run from last night, down the road, a couple weeks away, actually has quite a colder scenario for much of the U.S., and we can take a look at that now. And here it is, the height anomaly forecast. And this is a long term, this is speculation, but there are reasons to believe that an overall pattern change is underway. This is for about 2 weeks from now. Notice the cold blob almost throughout the entire U.S., whereas right now it was confined to Alaska and western Canada and parts of Europe and Asia. Looks like the GFS model run, at least the GFS ensembles, are indicating a substantial change in the overall pattern, and that gets underway this weekend, but may continue for the next couple of weeks, to the point that a couple of weeks from now, just before Christmas, it could be downright cold across much of the U.S. Of course, we'll monitor that over the next several days. Well, that's it for now for the SI Weather.com. I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.